Hi everyone. My name is Wendy Johnstone and I'm the development lead for the Third Sector Chief Officers Group, or the COG, in Third Sector Interface Valslan in South Lanarkshire. So we're the umbrella body in South Lanarkshire that looks after community and voluntary sector organisations, and I help the charity leaders, the voluntary leaders, to come together to look at strategic engagement, to look at collaboration, to look at consortia building across a whole range of different topics. I am a generalist and I am not an expert. I am not standing up here today as a Marmot expert. Unfortunately, Jen Kerr, who is the South Lanarkshire Council's Community Development Manager, Community Development Lead, and who is leading on Marmot for South Lanarkshire, she's unfortunately unable to be here today. We have been working fairly closely with her, just in terms of the initial rollout of Marmot within South Lanarkshire. We're at very early stages, so what I'm just going to give you is a bit of an overview of the journey so far through a sort of third sector, the TSI lens, really, and there'll be lots of gaps, but I'm sure that we can make sure that contacts can be shared afterwards and we can put you in touch with the right people. So the South Lanarkshire Marmot Place launch took place about a month ago, and it was a fabulous event. Lots of leaders from across the local authority, across all different sectors. There were some grassroots community groups involved in that, although there's clearly a lot more work that needs to happen there, both within our sector and within other sectors. That has been recognised, and there are plans afoot to address that. I know that there have been some working groups set up, cross-sector working groups. There's a strategic one and a data group, because the data for the work for Marmot follows the data, follows the evidence. I'm looking at the experts here. And I know that that's been quite tricky so far. We've got a colleague from Valslan who sits on the data group, and she's been saying, you know, there's some good data, there's some gaps in data, there's some areas, some organisations, groups, departments can provide stronger data than others, and there's sometimes issues of data sharing. All of these things, I think, will improve the data picture within South Lanarkshire in the future. So by going through this challenging data capture process, that will help. Alongside that, we're looking to be proactive as to how we can feed in. There are 4 representative organisations from the Chief Officers Group that are also involved in Scottish Communities for Health and Wellbeing. I'm doing well on the acronyms, folks. I'm only 9 months in this job and I deal with new acronyms every day. So here are 4 more for you. We've got CCI, Clydesdale Community Initiatives. We've got Niall over there. Give us a wave, Niall, because you made me go up here. We've got Healthy and Active. We've got Leslie McIntyre. We've got Healthy and Happy. We've got Mark here today, and Brendan Rooney's involved in that, and Leslie McCraner from Healthy Valley. So many of you may know these leaders anyway, and they're leaders involved here, but they're also involved in the Chief Officers Group. So together with them and others, we're forming a kind of proactive Marmot working group. So we're going to be getting together, looking at all your wealth of experience and other approaches and learning and research that you're already working on, and looking at how we then align that with the work of Marmot within South Lanarkshire, and make sure that the third sector is in at the start and not the afterthought. I'm not going to get political because I'm being recorded, even though Niall told me to. Sorry, I'm looking at the notes that I wrote 5 minutes ago, so just bear with me a second. Yeah, so in terms of what we want to achieve, I think really that group is about to meet for its inaugural meeting, but I'm going to speak off the cuff. We're going to be looking at evidence of need that we can produce, that we can pull together, albeit it'll be a small snapshot and not thoroughly researched, but qualitative and quantitative evidence of need of health inequalities across South Lanarkshire from those organisations that are engaging in that working group. We'll be feeding that into the data group. Particularly interested in the balance in South Lanarkshire between urban and rural, because we have quite a strong pocket of towns at the top where a lot of the services tend to be located, and there can be quite a challenge to make sure that there's a balance of resources and focus within South Lanarkshire for urban and rural. And we've looked at some of the gaps this morning from the data that's been coming, research been coming back about rural inequality there. Equally, though, a holistic approach, making sure that partnerships are equal, that the third sector is an equal partner at the table, resource to sustain the really important work, because Marmot principles are fabulous, the approach is fantastic, there's really strong body of evidence coming out that it's making differences in local authorities south of the border so far. However, the work that's being done under those Marmot principles is the work that the third sector working in this health improvement space is already doing with bells on. So it's making sure that we're at the table evidencing that need that we know that's out there and evidencing the impact that those organisations are already achieving. Finally, I just want to make the point, so through this and through a third sector review that the local council in South Lanarkshire are already undertaking with the third sector, we're going to be working on a shared outcomes framework, because I think that's been where some of the challenges have been for health equity work, but also for some of our other areas of work, is that the work's been happening over here, absolutely fantastic work, perhaps in isolation to certain strategic frameworks over here from our statutory partners. So we're hoping that with Marmot that will look much more aligned. I think that's enough from me, unless anyone has any questions. Thank you.